Hello soulmates, welcome to a new tutorial video. On this video, we'll be drafting a 6 pieces peplum blouse. Okay, so the first thing you're going to be doing, we're going to first of all draft out the back pattern of this blouse. Where this 6 pieces peplum blouse is going to be Princess Dart Bustier. A 6 pieces peplum blouse with Princess Dart Bustier. I already have a tutorial on how to draft a Princess Dart Bustier full scale and half scale bodies, so you can watch that tutorial. But I'm still also going to explain how to draft a bustier here for you to also understand. So first things first, this 6 pieces peplum blouse will have the zipper in front. Okay, it's going to have a zip in front. So for that purpose, I'm going to be cutting the back part first. So the measurements you need are from your shoulder to your chest line, from your shoulder to your bust point, from your shoulder to your under bust, and from your shoulder to your half length, right? These are the vertical measurements that you need. All right. Now, after getting this point, now it's time for us to mark our neck measurement, right? So your neck from one shoulder to the other shoulder, from one shoulder to your other shoulder, whatever you get, you divide it by 2. So what I'm working with is 16 divided by 2 is 8, and then I'll mark it. Then on my shoulder slope, I'll come down by 1 inch. My armhole length, the depth of my armhole is 9 inches, and then I'm going to mark it. Now the next thing I'm going to do is to just connect the armhole line, and for the neck part, right, the width, the wideness of the neck part, I just divided 8 by 2, right, and I got 4. So that's going to be the wideness of the neck part. All right, so now I'm going to dip the neck by 1 inch, just your normal neck depth. Do you get what I'm saying? So I'm going to dip the neck by 1 inch. Now remember, we are drafting the back pattern first. Okay, we're going to draft the back pattern first. I just want us to understand it first before we draft the front pattern. All right, so guys, please, if you've not subscribed to my YouTube channel, please click on the subscription button and subscribe, like, share, and comment. So guys, I always tighten my shoulder slope to eliminate the pointy part of the shoulder area. All right, if you watch all my tutorials, you see that I always tighten the shoulder slope to eliminate that pointy part of the shoulder area. Okay, so I'm done working with the upper part. Now it's time for us to create our bustier. All right, so you're going to get your nipple to nipple measurement from one nipple to the other nipple. So what I'm working with is 8 inches divided by 2 is going to give you what? 4. So you mark that 4 on a vertical line. Can you see? You mark that 4 inches to touch from your bust point to your under bust to your half length line. Now on your armhole area, since this is the back, you divide your armhole length by 2. 9. My armhole length is 9 divided by 2 is what? 4.5. So I'm going to mark it and then connect it with my ruler. Can you see? Now remember that your back bodies, right? Your back Princess Dart Bustier, the connection, that's the bustier, is not supposed to have like it's not supposed to be curvy like the front. Okay, and it's not supposed to have sharp edges on that bust area. Now we've gotten our Princess Dart shape. Now to extend our armhole length, right, you're going to extend it by 1.5 inch. Now when you're extending it, make sure that you place your tape rule upwards. Can you see how I place my tape rule? Upwards, not downwards, not sideways, not slant, upwards. Okay, so that's how you extend your armhole area. Now you're going to impute your measurements. So the circumference of your bust divided by 4 plus 2 inches. I added 2 inches allowance to this measurement. Now you're going to ask me, why am I extending the armhole area? Now this is going to be an assignment. If you cut a Princess Dart Bustier, don't extend it. All right, don't extend it and join it. When you join it, you see that the Princess Dart will not get up to the armhole area. Is going to be shortened. That's why we extend it. All right. So do the practical. Cut two Princess Dart Bustier. The first one, extend it. The second one, don't extend it and then join it. Then you understand exactly why you have to extend your armhole area. Hope you understand this part. So now we've gotten our pattern for the back part. I've gotten my measurements. Now we're going to cut it out. Please remember to label every part of your pattern. Remember to label it because we are still, we are cutting peplum, 6 pieces peplum blouse, right? We are still going to remodify this pattern. All right. So label your center front, sorry, your center back and your side back. All right. So now we are good to go. We're going to cut out the pieces of our pattern paper. All right. So guys, please, if you have any question up to this point, let me know in the comment section and I'll try my best to explain to you. But if you don't have any question, then it's time for us to cut the peplum part of these 6 pieces. All right. Now this 6 pieces peplum, you can use this format to cut a 6 pieces peplum gown, a 6 pieces gown. You can use this format to cut it, right? What you need more pattern papers. All right, you need more pattern paper to be able to get it. So now this is the back pattern. Can you see? Now, why do we call it 6 pieces? If you've watched my tutorial on how to draft a simple 6 pieces skirt, I explained that we call it 6 pieces because the pieces that we cut it into, the front part is going to be 3, the back part is going to be 3. That's the center back, that's 1 piece, the 2 side backs, right? That's 1 piece, 2 piece, then 3 pieces. Can you see? Do you understand why we call it 6 pieces peplum? Now, if you want this to be an 8 pieces peplum, that means you have to cut open the center back. It's going to give you 4 the individual pieces, right? So that's how you get 8 pieces peplum blouse. Do you understand? So this is 6 pieces, right? Because the front and the back is going to be three pieces. Now for the start of this tutorial, now to get that peplum, to get the peplum, now why do we call this a 6 pieces peplum? Because the peplum of this blouse is not detachable. It's not detachable from your half length. Like you cannot detach it. Normally when we sew a blouse, you mark your half length and then you cut your peplum and then you join your peplum to the half length. But in this situation, the peplum comes exactly with the main pattern, right? So now to get our peplum, you first of all use your masking tape to hold down your pattern, your center back pattern, right? And then you mark your straight line. Now you decide on how wide you want your peplum to be. So for this tutorial, I want my peplum to be 5.5 inches wide. So I'm going to mark 5.5 inches on both sides of my pattern. Do you understand? The first thing you need to do is to get a plain pattern paper and then you use your masking tape to hold the upper part now to the lower part of the pattern paper. You draw a straight line. That straight line is just to give you direction that this is where the half length is, right? And then you mark how wide you want your peplum to be. If you want it to be 6 inches wide, depends on your preference and the amount of material that you have. But for this tutorial, I made mine 5.5 inch and then on both sides. Do you understand? So now remember the half length is 19 inches, okay? So now the extra material, the extra pattern that I added is up to 26 because the length of the blouse is 25. So I added 1 inch allowance for the blouse, that's 26. Do you now understand? So this is going to give me the complete length of my blouse. Do you understand this pattern? Please, do you understand this part? I really want us to understand it. You first of all you use your masking tape to hold it down to a fresh pattern paper, right? And then you make sure that your fresh pattern paper is up to the length of your blouse. And then when you've already used your masking tape, then you add 5.5 inches by each side so that it will not have the peplum. Do you understand? Now, the more reason why you need to use your pattern paper is this part. Because if you're cutting it directly on your main fabric, you might waste most of your fabric. But now you're cutting it with a pattern paper, you won't even waste any fabric because you'll be cutting exactly what's on your pattern paper. That's why whenever you want to make a 6 pieces peplum dress, especially a blouse, make sure you cut it first on your pattern. All right. So guys, please, if you did not understand the first part of the explanation, I'm trying to draft it again for us to see. The first thing you need to do is to get the full length of your blouse. That's when you've added an extra pattern paper, right? Then just draw a straight line. This straight line is just to give you like direction that this is where the first pattern stops. This is the mid part. Do you get what I'm trying to say? Do you understand? Then from that line, you mark out 5.5 inch by the side. That's how wide we want our peplum to be. As I said earlier, you can make yours to be 6 inches. Depends on the amount of fabric that you have, one, and the amount of the amount of fabric that you have, right? And how your client wants it. If your client wants the peplum to be very big or very full, then you are expected to increase the length of your peplum. Do you understand? So now I'm doing the same thing for the side back. All right, can you see? I'm drawing the peplum on both sides. Remember that you have to use your masking tape to hold down the half length, the upper part of your pattern to a new pattern paper. Please, you have to use your masking tape to hold it down, and then it's from your half cut. That's when you now create that peplum shape. All right, so guys, this is basically how to get your 6 pieces or 8 pieces peplum blouse, right? And we call it peplum blouse because, as I explained earlier, you don't need to attach the peplum again. No, the peplum is it comes with the blouse. Let me speak it like that. Okay, so please, if you have any question, just let me know in the comment section. I'm always here to reply or respond to your questions. So guys, I'm done cutting for the center side back. Can you see how it's looking? And this is the center back, this is the side back. So I'm going to use this pattern to cut on the main fabric. When you're joining to your fabric, can you see how it's now going to look? Can you see how that part is already standing? I have not even started cutting it on the main fabric. Can you see the bottom part? And then you join the upper part. So this is the complete pattern for your back. I'm going to use the center back, the side back to cut for the two sides, right? So that you won't waste your pattern paper so much. So now we are done with the back pattern. Let's work on the front pattern. Now, as I said earlier, the front pattern, the only difference between the front and the back pattern is that the front pattern has a zipper. I'm going to be putting the zip at the front pattern. All right. So for the zip, I marked 2 inches. From the center front, I marked 2 inches. And then I'm going to impute all my horizontal measurements from my shoulder line to my chest line, from my shoulder line to my bust point, from my shoulder line to my underbust, and from my shoulder line to my half length. These are the measurements you need. All right, the same measurements that we took for the back part. Remember, I marked 2 inches. I gave 2 inches mark in front from the center front. That's going to be my overlap line and my facing line for my buttonhole, for my zipper allowance, right? You don't really need to label it overlap or facing. Just write your zipper allowance. All right. So I used 2 inches for my zipper allowance for the front, and then I marked a straight line down. So this is the first step. All right. So basically, you now take your normal measurements the same way you took your measurements for the back part. You take the same measurements for the front part. So the difference is just the zip allowance area, right? So I'm also going to show you how you attach your, it's basically the same thing with the front and the back. Just basically the same thing, but for the purpose of this tutorial and because I want to carry everybody along, I'm still going to repeat it just in case you don't understand the first part. So you mark your neck area. So you mark your neck area, your neck measurements, and then you mark your armhole length. That's 9 inches. Just basically the same thing we did for the back bodies. We'll do the same thing for the front bodies. Okay. Now the difference between the front and the back is the zipper allowance area one, and then the shape of our princess dart. Remember, the shape of our princess dart for the front is going to have a a breast pattern. Okay, now you can cut yours. There are some princess darts that you can cut without the breast part, without the bustier part. Sure, you know, the simple plain princess dart, that's the front and the back is going to be the same pattern. You don't need to create that breast part. All right. So but for this tutorial I want to create the breast part, so that in case you have a client that tells you, I want a princess dart bustier for my outfit, you can easily create it without panicking. All right. Though I already have an extensive tutorial on that, but I'm still going to show you how to do it. Now your armhole area, you are going to divide it by 2, 4.5, right? And then just connect the line to your bust point line, just as we did for the back part, like so, with your curved ruler. Now it's time for us to create the breast shape. All right. Now in my under bust, on my under bust, I'm going to go in by 2 inches, right? I'm going to go in by 2 inches for my, sorry, 1.5 inch for my under bust, and I'm going to mark the same 1.5 inch for my half length. All right. Now I'm going to join those lines and then connect the line from my under bust to my bust point with my curved ruler. Can you see? I'm just going to connect it to my bust point. Can you see how I placed the ruler? So you just connect it. Yes, the bust part is looking sharp, but don't worry. When you're cutting it, you're still going to create that curve. Okay. So now in the center front, I went in by 1 inch. For some people, they don't go in by anything, they just cut it straight. But most times I cut that way too, most sometimes, but most times I still give it a shape. It just shows that it will give you more shaping like this than it being straight. So this part we've marked, that's going to be, we're going to cut it out. All right, we're going to cut it out. So now can you see the breast area at the side? Now let's work on the armhole area. Now from that 4.5 that we marked, you come down by 1 inch. You come down by 1 inch and then connect it to your bust part. Now you ask me, why are we coming down by 1 inch? So that you're going to tighten your bust area, so that the princess dart is going to tighten and give it shape. It will hold your breast part. That's when you sew it together, it's going to hold your breast part. It's not going to be puffy. Then you extend your princess dart, you extend that armhole part, you extend it by 1.5 inch, the same thing we did for the back part. All right. Now it's time for us to now impute our measurement. Now kindly note that when you're marking your measurements, you're going to start from the button line. So why am I calling it button? The zipper allowance line, that's where you're going to start from. Okay. So for the neck parts, I've not really decided on the design for the neck part, so I'm going to just dip the neck part by the front part by 1.5 inch. Okay, I'm thinking of making a collar or just a simple design, but let's just continue. So but I just cut the neckline by, dip it by 1.5 inch, and then I'm going to tighten the shoulder slope, the same thing I did for the back. I already said the reason why I tighten my shoulder slope is to remove this pointy part of the shoulder area, so that when I join the shoulder of my outfit, it's going to sit perfectly on the shoulder. It's not going to be pointy. All right. So that's that for the neckline. Please, if you have any question up to this point, as usual, please let me know in the comment section. Now, as I was saying, when you want to impute your measurements, please make sure that you're starting directly from the zipper allowance side. Okay, from the zipper allowance side. Now, these dart legs that we remove, those places that I marked lines, that's the 2 inches and the 1.5 inches that we removed, right, to create that bust part. Please, we're going to add it back. Can you see the line that I'm starting my measurement from? That line that I pointed, that's where you're going to start your measurement from, not from the beginning, right? The 2 inches that you marked for your zipper allowance is from that 2 inches that you start marking your measurement, because that zipper allowance area, that's for your zip. You get? Then when you're imputing your measurement, make sure you add back the dart legs that you marked. So on the underbust part, I removed 1.5 inch from one side and I removed 1 inch from the other side. That's 2.5 inch. So I'm going to add back that 2.5 inch, right? And then add 1 inch sewing allowance. Do you understand? You do the same thing for the under bust for the half length. You're not going to do it for your bust line because we didn't remove anything at the bust point. Can you see? We didn't remove any dart at the bust point. So now I've marked my measurements and then I'm just going to connect them with a dot first, then before I cut it out. Please, hope you understand this part. Hope you understand this part. If you don't understand, please ask your question in the comment section, okay? Ask your question. I'm going to explain further. So guys, please, this is the best time for you to click on that subscription button and subscribe to my tutorial videos, guys. You can send me your request on what you want me to, an outfit you want me to explain to you or do a tutorial for you. I got you guys. So now we're done with the front part. We're going to cut our patterns now. Remember, we're not completely done because, as I said earlier, what we're cutting is a 6 pieces peplum. A 6 pieces peplum. Alright, so we're going to do the same thing we did for the back for our front line. Alright, so now we're cutting out our patterns. So do the same with your pattern. Cut out your pattern paper. Now I have one advice for you. If you want to make a 6 pieces peplum blouse, 1, make sure you are patient. 2, make sure you have enough pattern paper. Now if you don't have pattern paper, you can make do with newspaper or cardboard sheet. Do you get? You can make do with your old newspaper or cardboard sheet. Alright, but you must use enough pattern paper. Alright, and then when you're drafting your patterns, make sure you label your patterns, your center front, your center back, your center, your side front, and your side back. Alright, make sure you notch your areas. Now I've cut out my pattern. Can you see? The next thing I'm going to do, I'm going to notch my zipper allowance area. I'm going to notch it. That part is supposed to go inside, right? I'm just going to notch it to remind me that this is where my zipper allowance area is going to stop. All right. Now it's time for us to now create the peplum for our front part. Now, if you look at this front part, you see that because we are putting the zip in front, we have to cut open the center front. We have to cut open the center front. If we were not putting the zip at the front, the zip is going to be at the back, right? And because it's a 6 pieces peplum, the center front is just going to be unfold. We're not going to cut it open. Do you understand? So the reason why we're cutting it open is because we have a zip in front. Now, do you get? That's why ours comes in 4 pieces. Hope you understand this part. So this is our center front, and then we have our side front. So when you're done cutting your pattern, this is how your patterns should look. This is how your patterns should look. Now we're going to cut our peplum part. All right, now for you to save most of your pattern, most of your paper, all right, you cut for just one piece of your center front and one piece of your side front. You can use both of them to create your cutouts for the other sides. All right, you don't need to cut separately for each part of the center front and each part of the side front. You get, just cut for the center front one part and cut for the side front one part. All right, so let's get into it now. It is the same thing we did for the back, we're going to do for the front. All right, so you remember that we extended the peplum by 5.5 inch. Please guys, whatever you extend the back part with, do the same thing for the back, for the front. If you extend the peplum of the back by 5 inches, 5.5, 6 inches or 7 inches, make sure you do the same extension for all parts of the outfit, because if you don't extend it with the same measurement, your peplum will not come out well and it will not align. You'll find out that one is longer than the other. So that's why you have to decide on how many inches you want to extend your peplum and use the same measurement for all parts of your peplum. All right, so now I'm cutting out the peplum for the side front. Yes, basically the same thing. So if you have any question, let me know in the comment section. I made this tutorial to be very explanatory and very understandable. Do you get? I tried to do the tutorial to be like I explained it more than once so that we'll see it and understand it. Now please, before you cut this on your client's outfit, make sure you have practiced it on your pattern paper. Make sure you've done the outfit for yourself first before you start cutting on your client's fabric. Now, the reason why you need a pattern paper or you have to draft your pattern first is going to help you, save your fabric. It's going to help you, it's going to prevent you from wastage. You're going to be able to manage it very well when you place your patterns. All right, so after this tutorial, I'm going to have another video entirely on the cutting on pattern, on the main fabric, and the sewing of this outfit. So thank you guys for watching. Thank you for my new subscribers. Thank you to my old subscribers. And please, if this tutorial was helpful to you, please like, share, and most importantly guys, please subscribe to my YouTube channel, share the videos. Okay, so guys, this is how your front peplum is going to be for your blouse. Okay, so I'm going to make another tutorial video on how to cut it on your pattern paper, on your main fabric, and how to sew this. All right, so don't miss the next video that is going to come up. Thank you for watching. See you on my next tutorial. Bye.